This is the Be Well Now podcast. I want to feel better right now. Give me 3 ways to do that.
All right. Well, I think 3 ways. Right now, I would say sugar, reducing sugar.
Oh, and not having more, reducing it?
Yeah, reducing your sugar habit.
Sugar makes you feel good.
Yeah, so you need sugar. We'll talk about that.
Okay, all right.
And your stimulant. So right around or right along with sugar, reducing a sugar habit is the stimulant, reducing the stimulant dependence. Okay. Also, drinking more water, I think, is a really important thing. And then moving your body.
Let's talk about what do you think is the most important thing someone can do today to like just be healthier, feel better? Is it drinking more water? Is it eating less sugar? Is it moving the body? Some people just need to get started. They're in a bad place.
Yeah, simple place to start.
They're having a bad day. Just like, get me out of that funk.
I think this is one of the things that certain diets are beneficial for. Like they give you an approach, or they give you a system to try to attempt to live a different lifestyle. So that's one thing I think that diets are actually beneficial for, or programs are beneficial for, because they begin to help you start to create new habits. And that's what we really want to do, is create new habits. So there is a diet called Whole30. You may have heard of this. I don't know if you have or not, but it's essentially you pull away from gluten and sugar, wheat products, and things like that, and you do it for 30 days. And what I found, usually I'll tell people stay away from, eliminate wheat, sugar, and dairy, and they'll pull away from those 3 things. And once they get rid of those 3 things, even within a week, within a few days, half the time, they go, wow, I feel so much better. I can think clearer. My joints don't hurt as much. I'm not in as much pain all the time. So I think that is one thing for sure that you can do, is begin the process of those highly refined processed foods. Get rid of those. Get rid of those highly refined processed foods.
Even though the short-term pain is real, because you still have your kids and your job and your daily stresses, and you just don't feel all that great, and you want that boost. How do you get through that? Just mental fortitude?
Well, it's interesting, because that's where a lot of us get stuck on dependent on stimulants.
Right.
So we'll use caffeine, or we'll use some other stimulant to keep us going. And this is actually really prevalent on college campuses, where we see kids wanting to focus and concentrate more. And so they go and ask their doctor essentially for a prescription of Ritalin. And so, it's like, if they can set the stage to where they feel like they can't concentrate and it looks like they might be ADHD, they go present to a care provider and get a prescription for Ritalin, and then boom, boy, they can focus good. They can focus really well. But at that point too, is that then have they become dependent on that? Oftentimes they do become quite dependent, because they have this significant contrast of, I can jump into this focus really easily and quickly with a pill, right? And so we want to be really, really careful, because there are crashes. There are significant crashes that people experience when they utilize stimulants. And so crashes frequently encourage people to take more of something.
Totally.
And the more and more you take, the more you challenge physiology. And the more you challenge your physiology, the more you wear the system down. The more you wear the system down, the more you need more, right? Until finally you have physiological disease. And this happens in cases all over, where maybe in certain cases it's heart, you have cardiovascular related issues, heart palpitations, or you develop stress and anxiety and depression. And so then you're starting to medicate with more things. So anyway, reducing dependence on stimulants is a very critical thing as well, that you can do as soon as possible to be well now.
Yeah,
So cutting the sugar, dairy, cutting the sugar, wheat, processed foods, things like that, and then reducing stimulants.
I struggle with caffeine every day.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm in this weird
when you've
phase.
done it for a long time.
I used to drink 4 or 5 cups a day, drink Monster, I have been prescribed and used Adderall without prescription, many times, and then had a prescription for a couple years. I remember how it escalated. Like I'm an amphetamine addict, a caffeine addict. And right now I'm like doing every other day of a cup of green tea, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. And the days that I don't have it are worse. I'll just say it.
Yeah.
And the day I have it, I don't feel as peppy. And then I have some green tea and I feel like that more is possible. And I get that feeling of like one stimulant leads to another, because it just, if it feels better, why not have more of this, right? The problem is, and I know this is why I'm like, if you do it too much, it loses the effect. You get the headaches when you don't have it. And I'm already flirting with that now.
Well, and we've been preaching this ideal to you, right? And I kudos to you that you've been listening, that you've heard it, that you're taking it on, and that you're trying to, and you have made significant gains in it. And so we've been preaching this more ideal to you, that my body can sustain itself without stimulant. My body can stimulate itself.
Yeah.
My body creates pain relievers that are stronger than any drugs that we know. Yeah. And so you can see, so what happens in the field of battle when someone gets their leg blown off, or they have a laceration, half the time they don't even feel it, right? And so, and they're over there trying to protect or take care of a buddy. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh, there's actually something real significant here. So my point with that is, and maybe that was a little too grotesque, but the point is that our body actually creates a significant amount of pain relieving chemicals, antioxidants. It has the capacity to create all these things, and stimulants, cortisol regulation. Sugar as well is a stimulant to some degree, right? And cortisol is really what initiates the dumping of sugar into our blood that, boom, opens our eyes and wakes us up in the morning, okay? And part of this is the sunlight coming up, right? As we start to get those rays of the sun, and cortisol is released by the kidney and the adrenals. And what does the sun do to the kidney and the adrenals? The rays penetrate through there and begin to stimulate the kidney, and then boom, that reaches a surge of cortisol, pushes sugar into the blood, and bam, we have this stimulation. We're awake. Okay, when the body and the cells of the body are working properly, you can stimulate your body appropriately. Your body stimulates you in a way that you're like, I feel awake, I feel alert, I'm ready to perform, and I don't need a stimulant. Okay, now, that's why I'm a big proponent of stimulants in specific areas. So like if you're going to work out and you want a pre-workout pump, there's been a lot of research that shows a stimulant can be very beneficial before a workout, okay? Because it allows you to get maybe a little greater gain than you otherwise would have. And I will say one caveat I think is interesting is that we know through research that people usually discount their own strength. They usually discount their own capacity to achieve something great, which is pretty sad. But that's typically where we fall. And so getting somebody into, let's say, a little different mood, which a stimulant might,
right,
could actually be a contributing factor to helping that person believe they can lift more. So they can get a bigger boost, they can make greater gains, and they can have a bigger pump in the weight room. That's a really good use for a stimulant. And you're actually utilizing it as well, not just like, oh, I'm just trying to stay awake.
So we want to talk about water as well, like the importance of water. It seems pretty basic. I'm skeptical, preach.
So, well, water is the source of life. Right?
Oh, there you go.
Hydrogen and 2 oxygen molecules binds with every cell in your body. We essentially have salt water in our bodies. Our bodies are 70% water, salt water, saline. And so minerals, we need minerals, which in our water, hopefully we have minerals. If we're not getting, like if we have reverse osmosis system in our house, that will strip all of the minerals out. Or if we're drinking distilled water, there's no minerals in distilled water. So if you're doing those things, you need to make sure that you're including a mineral salt. There's a mineral company that actually has a plant that they take salt out of the Great Salt Lake, which is a good place to get minerals, right? Or you can get, I know there's another company, Real Salt, that they make a really good salt product that has a high amount of minerals in it. Or maybe you can even go bathing in salt water, like a natural spring tends to have a higher concentration of minerals in it as well. So water is not really just the hydrogen and the oxygen, H2O. It also is minerals. So it's hydration. It allows for the health of our skin, our hair, our nails, our eyes. Every aspect of our body requires moisture.
So it sounds like if
hydration.
I want to feel better, I got to really focus on hydration.
Yeah, well, and here's the interesting thing is oftentimes people will hydrate. Their form of hydration will be, I'll drink a Diet Coke. Right? And so what they're doing is they're trying to satiate a sensation that their body has given them neurologically, which says drink, or we need to cool the system, right? We need to create more water because we're dehydrated. And they begin to satiate that by getting a cold drink, even though it's Diet Coke. They look at that and they say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to get my water consumption. The problem is the Coke often has a stimulant in it, right? And the stimulant forces or pushes the body to secrete water. And so it actually leads to a progressive dehydration as well. So be careful again with how you choose to consume your liquids. And there are certain people that do say to me, and it's been a head scratcher for me for a long time because I love water. I've been a runner for a lot of my life. I've played soccer. I've done a lot of the sports that have required a lot of activity and fitness. And so I just like that category of sports. I like the activity of sports. And so because of that, I've loved water. Like if I would drink even Gatorade, it was too sugary for me while I was training. I just needed water. And so water's always been an easy thing, but it's not for everybody. For a lot of people, they tell me they don't even like the taste of water. And I'm shocked by that. But if you're drinking, I guess, water from a municipality, it might taste like chlorine. It might taste like a swimming pool. It might have some other flavor that you just don't like. So I get that. So what are things that you can do? Well, one thing is, you said you do green tea. Well, green tea can have some stimulant with it as well. You could do herbal tea, then you're not going to have a stimulant with it. But you can use rooibos tea, which is really nice. It's like an African plant, right? Yeah. Rooibos, and it actually has a really nice flavor. You can use a whole host of herbals. We have herbals here. You can use mint. You can use chamomile. Right. The chamomile might make you a little more tired or lethargic because it tends to be a relaxant. So use that more in the evening if you're going to. You can even use citrusy type foods as a tea in your water. But some people I've seen use these sticks. What's the company? Is it Nutra? There's a variety of different companies that make these little sticks. I would be careful. They're flavor sticks and they dump them in the water. Be very careful with those because usually the flavor sticks, they'll have added sugars or they'll have alternative sugars, which we've talked about. The problems with alternative sugars is they're excitotoxic, cause a gustatory reaction in the brain, right? And they can actually lead to inflammation of your neurological system.
Really?
So yeah, so be very, very careful with alternative sweeteners. That's also what's in the diet products. Unless it says like we're using stevia and, Lohan Guo or,
monk fruit.
Monk fruit. Yeah. If
Did I get that translation there?
Sorry, thank you. That was good.
No, did I?
That was
okay.
right on point. Yeah.
I've been studying.
So, but those are things that you can do. You can
And
use,
then obviously move. You want to move.
Yeah, and movement.
I don't think we.
The last thing, move. Yeah. So, and I talked about how I like to exercise. I like to run. I like to do activities, hiking, things like that. I like to be active. And I think movement is good. Now, it doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be a sport. Like, as you're aging, you don't have to maintain the same 20, teens and 20 level of activity, right? But you do need some activity to be initiating the movement of the cardiovascular system, because you have a muscle. There's a muscle called the soleus muscle in your calf. And this muscle is actually called the second heart. And the reason it's called the second heart is because it's responsible for pumping the blood back up to the heart.
Wow.
Okay, so it pumps it back up. And the way you do that is by walking, by contracting the soleus muscle. And walking, running, hiking, stepping. The movement and contraction of the soleus muscle is the only thing we have in the lower extremities to pump the blood back. Okay? So it's actually just as important as your heart is, those muscular contractions. So again, it is a significant and very important thing for us to be moving. You can do lighter exercise. You can do yoga. We're big proponents of yoga here. You can do forest bathing, where you take a hike through the forest.
Yeah.
Shinrin-yoku, right? And so many beneficial things that you can do. You can go paddle boarding. I would encourage you, even if you're on a boat or you're, wake surfing, if you're doing something, try to be active. Try to have some level of activity involved, whether it's paddling or it's running or pedaling, variety of different things like that. But use some strategies in your life to say, employ some activities in my life that are things that I could actually enjoy too. Because that's the way you're going to continue doing it. You're going to continue to be active if you actually like it.
Yeah, I never feel worse after coming back from a walk.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that people love around here, Nick. Pickleball.
I've seen it. It's going crazy everywhere.
Pickleball. People love it. And it's a great thing to do. I think what we have is pickleball-itis at this point, though. Like
people getting injured. Are you
people getting a lot of injuries from pickleball?
What are the most common ones?
Well, usually it's shoulders, shoulder injuries, or I've seen people will trip and fall, and those are other injuries, less frequent, but usually it's shoulder injuries.
Oh, I see the next podcast. The dark side of pickleball.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
Come on now.
Okay, fine.
That'll get the clicks. That'll get the clicks and the views. So move, hydrate, and get yourself off the stimulants. That's really motivating to me, that the body can stimulate and provide pain relief on its own.
Yeah, you have the capacity. Your body has the capacity to do that.
But the more we try to cover it up with our stimulants, the less what?
Well, you replace the capacity of the body. It doesn't need to do that. It's like, why? I don't need to do that function anymore. And there are certain aspects of our organ systems and our secretory glands where if we're replacing the function, it's like, well, then it will begin to shut down. Like actual cells can atrophy, or cells of it not only atrophy, in certain aspects they can calcify, meaning that the lack of function or activity of them lead to dormancy. And so then you have a dormancy, and then what have you done? You've created a long-term dependency, because now, from all intents that we can see, you may not be getting that capability back.
Use it or lose it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Short and sweet.
Namaste, everyone.
3 things you can do. Namaste. Be well now, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you could.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Where's that button? It's right there.
It's right there.
Right there.
I think. Oh, no, it's right there.
Oh, here it is. Click.
Click. All right.
Thanks for sharing.
And
Make someone's day. Share with them the Be Well Now podcast.